social problems were going to intend what was happening to whites. But where we stand now in 2016 is way worse than it was then. How do we get there?
Yeah. No, the country seems to be in decent shape,
for those of you who don't hang out in working class communities or who grew up in one but haven't been back to visit recently, you will probably be shocked. The reason you will be shocked is that a town that you knew 30 years ago, 40 years ago as a town of intact families and no more serious drug problem than some beer and marijuana, will now find meth use is a huge problem and increasingly heroin use. You will see single-parent families all over. You will see children who are not performing well in school, who are delinquent. Basically, Bill, you can take all of the things that social scientists were shaking their heads over about the black inner city in the 1970s and 80s, and all of those things are happening in white working class America now. It's really, truly not only unprecedented, but it's of a different nature.
I mean, does it say more about the reality of America, or does it say more about the psychology of Americans, I guess?
I think it says more about where America is on its trajectory. And here I have been seeing recently a whole bunch of parallels. I'm not alone in seeing these. A whole bunch of parallels between the United States and a mature civilization that's on the downhill slide.
It is a time-honored tradition at high schools across our region. Homecoming often coincides with football season, and it's usually a spirited event.
Most schools hold dances and usually pick students to be the homecoming king and queen. But this year, Bethesda Chevy Chase High School is taking a different approach to homecoming that many say is more welcoming than in years past.
Bethesda Chevy Chase High School will be the first in the county to scrap their homecoming king and queen titles.
It's going to be a gender neutral. That means that it could be a male and female, it could be two males, it could be two females.
And I have to admit, when I first heard the story this morning, I said, what's wrong? Why are we doing away king and queen? Isn't that part of the process? But the more I read the article and I saw what they were saying and what some of the students had gone through and why they say this is important, I've changed my tune to say, you're right. Why not make everyone feel important? Because high school...
From celebrities like Ruby Rose of Orange is the New Black to teen star Jaden Smith and Hollywood hunk Brad Pitt, celebrities are directly or indirectly drawing attention to a movement that blurs gender in which a person can choose to be male or female or both any day or hour they want.
It's called gender fluid or gender fluidity and is among the top conversations on Vine, certainly a lot of college campuses. Joining us is Vine star and author Jeffrey Marsh. Jeffrey does not identify as he or she, but prefers the pronouns they and them. Let me ask you this. Here's the thing. I'll just speak for myself. I think anybody should be free to do anything that they want and live as they wish. Do you want society, I don't know, to change the way we refer to people?
Of course I do,
okay.
Yes. And certain people that, like myself, don't prefer pronouns like he or she, but choose to use they or them. So you would say they wrote an amazing book. They are a great Vine star. They are attractive. If the online presence that I see is any indication, especially this youngest generation, people who are teens right now, they're all over the map when it comes to identity. And they have a million labels to describe themselves. And to me, it's a beautiful thing. Yes, absolutely.
But don't you think people are sometimes afraid to say the wrong thing? Because nowadays, especially, you do one misstep and you're attacked and ripped to shreds. And really, it's coming from a good place. You just want to understand, right?
Doctors across the country are warning parents about a mystery virus that strikes with no warning and can lead to muscle weakness and even paralysis in some children.
It was really odd how it all started. He was bound to a hospital bed for months with a condition still puzzling doctors around the country.
My concern is that we are seeing a trend now in 2016 that mirrors what we saw in 2014.
According to the CDC, in 2014, 120 cases of AFM were reported, just 21 cases in 2015. But so far this year, there have already been 50 reported cases.
But again, doctors are really pushing the fact that this is very, very rare.
You know, his mom, Leslie, used the phrase, it's like a thief in the night. It comes up so suddenly, you don't know what it is.
Breaking news, a leprosy case confirmed in the Inland Empire. It involves a student at Indian Hills Elementary in Harupa Valley.
The Caribbean's most powerful storm in almost a decade swept through Haiti on Tuesday.
The most powerful hurricane to hit Haiti in more than 50 years is causing chaos and panic.
And here in the Bahamas, the storm plowed through the island chain, tearing the roof off this home in Nassau. The first major hurricane to hit the Bahamian capital since the late 1920s.
Wow. It is 100% legit, authentic. I didn't change anything on it, didn't change the contrast, didn't change one single pixel. That is the way it actually appeared.
Weather Channel senior meteorologist Stu Ostro was the first to post the image to Twitter.
This is some really freaky, sinister-looking face, which unfortunately is consistent with the hurricane being sinister because it's already been deadly and destructive.
The outer bands of the storm started pounding southern parts of Florida's Atlantic coast late this afternoon.
It sure does look like a smirking skull, especially with that devilish red background. Florida meteorologist Matt Devitt of Wink TV in Fort Myers noticed the spooky likeness.
Overnight, torrential downpours and wind whipping stoplights, thrashing palm trees, submerging cars on the road.
The war in Syria has forced hundreds of thousands of people to escape to Europe. Now, new satellite images released by the UN show the destruction rained down on the embattled city of Aleppo since the US-Russia ceasefire collapsed 2 weeks ago.
Jets have bombed eastern Aleppo over the last few weeks like never before.
And I simply cannot thank you for that. Nor can the thousands upon thousands of innocent men, women, and children trapped in Aleppo. Tonight, they will endure another night of fear, of pain, another night of wondering whether they will live to see the morning. 100,000 of them are children. The current tactics being used in Aleppo under the alibi of countering terrorism are turning a humanitarian crisis into a catastrophe. And your veto today, Mr. President, has only confirmed what we've known for so long. Russia's actions in recent weeks have exposed just how hollow Russia's commitment to the political process is. We see every day in Aleppo that there simply can be no military victory in this conflict. There can only be losers.
With all these messages of combat readiness, they are pretty much sending a message to the United States and its coalition not to intervene and not to mess with them, if we can put it bluntly.
If we don't do something,
cette ville ne sera bientôt plus qu'un champ de
town
ruines
will soon just
et
be
restera dans
in
l'histoire comme une
ruins
ville
and will remain in
ses
history
habitants
as a
abandonnés
town
à leur bourreau.
in which the inhabitants were
Il y a
abandoned
15
to their
jours déjà devant
executioners.
And constant airstrikes have turned what was once Syria's largest city into rubble and has made life there unbearable.